Welcome everyone to the Vernon Area Public Library Business Lunch Series. I am your presenter today. My name is Andrea Vall, and today we're going to be talking about using Pinterest to drive traffic to your website. Thank you so much for joining us today. We've got a lot of fantastic material to cover, and we'll talk a little bit about the next webinar coming up at the end of the series that we have for you. But a little bit about me before we get started. Just to give you a background about where I come from. I'm a social media coach, strategist, and speaker. I'm a co-author of Facebook Marketing All-in-One for Dummies, and I'm the Facebook community manager for Social Media Examiner. Social Media Examiner is that little icon in the upper right corner, and if you're interested in learning about social media, I highly recommend you get connected to socialmediaexaminer.com. They have a lot of fantastic articles that come out every day on all kinds of social media stuff. I also have an alter ego, and I'll tell you about her. I double as Grandma Mary, social media edutainer, and I have an improv comedy background as well. So I used her, Grandma Mary, to blog about social media and make social media more fun. And Grandma Mary's likes to make it fun and easy. Her motto is, if Grandma Mary can do it, you can do it too. So I just like Grandma Mary because she kind of cracks me up, and we all need a little humor as we're trying to learn all this social media stuff. It's overwhelming sometimes. So let's get started and talk about what we're going to cover today. We are going to cover everything about Pinterest. We're going to go really in depth about what it is, how companies are using it, how brands are using it versus just people using it to pin pictures of wedding cakes and things like that. And who should be using Pinterest and how much time it takes to use Pinterest if you're considering using it for your business, how to set it up. We're going to talk about creating boards and how to pin strategically and what kind of things to think about and best practices. So we're going to also talk about terms and conditions. I know maybe some of you have heard some of the issues with the Pinterest terms and conditions on what they've got there, and we'll kind of talk about the ins and outs of that. And driving traffic, because that is ultimately our goal, is to get some more traffic to your website and get the right traffic there so people can purchase your good stuff. So hopefully at the end we'll have some time for questions. I'm terrible at multitasking, so if you do type in some questions in the side there, I may not see them until the end, so hopefully that'll work. And we'll try and get to all your questions at the end. So let's get started. What is Pinterest? Basically, it's a visual pin board. And so if you think of those cork boards we used to have up in our rooms where we'd pin Donny Osmond or something, at least that's what I did. That's what it is. It's a pin board online so that you can see all the stuff you want to see in one place. It's very visual. It's saving pictures, and they have you can save pictures, you can save videos, and it's really great for creating this very interesting, visually interesting, engaging place to look at. And it's definitely a place that can suck up your time. It's also a place that drives traffic. It's been really driving traffic, and we'll talk about how it drives traffic to your site and how you can take advantage of that. It's very women heavy, women focused, a lot of women users there. 80% of Pinterest users are women. So if your business does cater to women, I would suggest that maybe it is a good place for you to participate. It can be okay for men too. There's some Harley boards out there. There's some manly men boards out there as well, but primarily the users are women. It's a very fast-growing site, and we're going to talk about some of the cool statistics we've got going on there. One of the recent studies done by a shopping cart site showed that Pinterest users are spending a lot of money through Pinterest, and basically how it's happening is they were tracking the the people who were coming from Pinterest to a site that had a place to purchase something and tracking how much they were spending, and that was all via this shopping cart program. So it's basically, it's not worldwide, but from their small niche that they were tracking, they were finding that Pinterest users were spending a lot of money on through coming from Pinterest, coming to a site where they could buy something. And it was 2 times higher than through Facebook links. So I think that's a very interesting statistic right now. It's also driving almost as much as traffic as Twitter with 1/20th of the users. You can see that, you know, Twitter users have 200 million users currently. Pinterest as of February had 10 million, but it was driving as much traffic as Twitter itself. So really driving a lot of traffic. We'll talk about how it does that and how you can take advantage of it. And obviously the growth has been phenomenal. It's really one of the fastest growing social media sites in recent history. I know Google Plus had some fast growth, but that was a little bit artificial since they had a lot of people had Google accounts already, so it wasn't maybe a natural growth there, but Pinterest has had a very explosive growth, so it's hot, hot, hot right now. So let's talk about how it's organized. You're organized into pins and boards. So a pin is an individual picture or YouTube video, and you pin it to a board. And a board typically has a theme around it. And you can name your board whatever. You can create all kinds of different boards. It's unlimited how many boards you can have, how many pins you can have. And people can follow these boards. They can follow the pins. They can comment on the pins can be repinned, and it's all this social lingo that we have to learn from fans and followers and pins and all that stuff. So, you know, it becomes very viral because people are repinning these pins and kind of coming upon them through the people they're following. And that's why people are spending a lot of time there. And actually, let me just take 1 second to go back to the post or the stats on the previous slide. The average amount of time, if you look here in January 2012, 97 minutes is the average amount of time that people are spending on Pinterest. It's incredible. I mean, it definitely is a testament to how engaging the site is if people are spending that much time on it. So it is a great place to be if you have the right business for it. So here's an example of a business. This is a client of mine called Camp Bow Wow, and they have several different boards here. They have, they're a doggy daycare. They also have in-home dog care. So they have, you know, an about Camp Bow Wow, some Camp Bow Wow buddies, tips and tricks on training, and so those are their boards right there. Do it yourself for animals, and you know, how to cook your own dog biscuits and things like that. And what these are pictures that are pinned to the board, but a lot of times these pictures have a link attached to them that will take you to something like this recipe for dog bones. So the way Pinterest actually started out was a lot of people were kind of organizing their weddings around it. They would pin wedding dresses, and the wedding dress picture would then go to the link where someone could buy that wedding dress or get that wedding dress, or and the same kind of thing with some of the other things that they had there. A lot of people use it for recipes as well. Recipes where you have the picture of the recipe, and then if you were to click on that picture, the link would then take you to the website that had the picture and the recipe with it. So it's almost like a social bookmarking type of site where you're organizing your social bookmarks, where you're organizing your bookmarks visually rather than just by name. So if you do use you know, some sort of bookmark technique in your browser, it's the same kind of thing, except it's very visual. So it's kind of fun because you can explore, each of these sites and see, get a real visual picture of what people like and what things are about, and without having to read so much. So visual is becoming very important in the social and web world. Who's using Pinterest? It's a lot of individuals at this point, but there are brands that are coming into brands and companies that are coming into Pinterest and kind of figuring out how to use it for their business. Whole Foods does it very well. Obviously, they have a very visual business. They have, they take pictures of their foods and their products and all that kind of thing, and they have lots of recipes that they have available. So if it's a very visual business, it works very well. Other types of businesses are things like Michael's, and I think Better Homes and Gardens has a lot of followers as well. So it's almost like kind of an online magazine for them. Scholastic is also using it well, and I would suggest that you go and take a look at how they do it, because their business is a little bit different. If you use if you want to go visit any of these sites, you can go to pinterest.com/scholastic and you'll get to their boards. And I'll put links to these boards in the replay information as well, so you can kind of see it. And how is Pinterest social? I kind of alluded to that a little bit, but you've got followers and people can comment on these individual pins. People can repin these things. They can pin from each other. Pins can travel across Pinterest, these pictures, and be repinned and go very viral on Pinterest. So if you take a look at this example, I kind of broke it up into two different sides because it's a very long post, but you can see this person pinned a Harley Davidson jacket that is $145, and this links back to Amazon. So it's something that you could buy from Amazon if you wanted to, but they pinned it on their board. This person has a Harley board that has Harley products on it, and then people can comment on that pin. And a lot of times you can link your other social sites to automatically get a number of followers on Pinterest who are following your pins. Otherwise, your followers can kind of build up through your commenting on other pins, and people can decide if they want to follow you. If you repin something from someone, that might draw some attention to your profile as well. And so that's how people start following each other on Pinterest. But again, the social part is people commenting on your pins and repinning it. You can see this person has 324 repins of this jacket. I mean, that's incredible. So this jacket is now in 324 different places from this one site. So you can see the types of boards people are pinning it onto. Fashion ideas, Harley Davidson is a products I love, my style. Those are all the names of the boards that people have pinned this particular jacket onto. So it can be very social and it can be very viral. How do you determine if Pinterest is right for you? I think if your business has a lot of visual content that's available, it can be very right for you. I would suggest that if your business is, maybe insurance or something like that, and you just have a static website with no blog and nothing else really happening there that's available to pin, and you don't have a lot of pictures on your website, Pinterest may not be the right place for you. I really truly believe, though, that anyone can make any of these social sites right for their business in some way if they really enjoy it and are having fun with it and are using it consistently and connecting with people. So it can be right for you if you really just love it and enjoy it and like connecting with people. If you are blogging, if you do have a regular blog, then I think it also can be right for you, because any blog post could be a potential pin. And you want to think about that when you are now creating these blog posts. So if you have if you're blogging and you're blogging with straight text, you might want to think about making sure each blog post has an image with it. And I showed you an example here. I know you probably can't read this writing, but this was an example of a friend of mine who has a recipe site called denvergreenchili.com. And there's a way to kind of see what's being pinned from your site, and we'll cover that in just a little bit. But she took a look at what was being pinned from her site and found that not all of her recipes have pictures with them. And so the same picture was getting pinned over and over and over for all these different recipes. It was the picture that came from her header image. So it really was kind of a wake-up call to her, because she realized that, you know, I need to get pictures with each of these recipes so that it can be more visually interesting and more attractive for someone who is wanting to make this recipe and wants to kind of see it and pin it and have it available, you know, for other people to pin, because, you know, this recipe might be a disconnect with that picture, and people might say, well, I don't want to, you know, make chilies. That's not interesting to me. But if they had a real picture of the recipe, it might be more visually appealing. So, you know, it's a good idea and a good practice if you are blogging to always be thinking about having some picture, even if it's not, even if your blog has you can't think of a particular picture, there are places where you can source some interesting pictures where you tie something in. Sometimes I have a picture of a surprised woman, or I have a picture, you know, if I'm blogging about something where that's shocking, or sometimes I have a picture of someone looking grumpy if I'm blogging about some new change that makes me mad. You know, if I can't think of a picture that's going to work, I go out and source a picture from some different sites where it kind of ties into the message. It's helpful to do that because that picture is going to pull in when people post it on Facebook. Obviously now if people are posting it on Pinterest, then you're going to want some kind of unique picture that kind of expresses something about that blog post. So it's something to think about if you are blogging. Think about making sure you have a picture on each site. There's lots of different places you can source pictures. Creative Commons areas in Flickr, where you can source pictures from them for free if you just link back and give them credit. So you can search on some of that. And actually, I'll put a reference in the replay here of some great places to find some free images for you. And you can also use things like iStockPhoto. Those images are very inexpensive to use, and they've got a huge variety of really interesting pictures that work well with a lot of different types of blog posts and content and niches. So the other thing you want to do is to determine if Pinterest is right for you is just search around and see. You can go to Pinterest and do all kinds of searches. You don't have to have an account there to kind of poke around, see what's there in your niche, put in some of your keywords and see what's already there and see if it makes sense for you to participate, see if it gives you some ideas on how to participate there. And, you know, if you are blogging, useful content is getting pinned. So it does help to participate in the place where people are talking about you. So it could be right if you're blogging or creating some sort of content. How much time does it take? The thing I like about Pinterest is if you really stay focused and don't just start clicking around everywhere like sometimes can happen, it really doesn't have to take too long out of your schedule. The setup can take some more time because you start initially creating some of your boards, pinning some things, looking around, seeing what's working out there, repinning some things from other people. But the maintenance of it really doesn't take that long. You can go in there just, you know, once a week or every other week and check on things, pin a few more things, but again, you can get sucked in. At the very least, what you'll want to do is do some searches and then also check and see if anything is being pinned on your site, because you want to know that. So the way you do that is go to pinterest.com www.auditing.com/source/yourwebsite.com. Now, you won't have the www on there, so take that www or HTTP out, any initial things you might have on there, and put in your website name, and you can see what might be pinned already from your site, and it actually can be kind of surprising. You know, you might not think that anything would be pinned from your site, and it can't. There's possibilities that it can be. So it's a good idea to check on that from time to time. And so, for example, with my site, just to make this crystal clear, my site would be Pinterest. I would go and type in the little URL bar, pinterest.com/source/AndreaVall.com, and then I would be able to see what's being pinned from my site. The interesting thing too on this is you can check this for any website. You could see what's being pinned from your competitor's site or what's being pinned from any random site that you want to look at. So you can look what's there. How do you get started with Pinterest? It's very easy. They do have an invite system where you have to request an invite, or you have to have someone invite you who already is has an account there. When I requested the invite, it really didn't take long. I did it on 2 different accounts to kind of test it, and one was very quick within the hour. Another one it was at night, and it took a little longer. It was kind of in the morning. So the requests are being processed very quickly if you do just want to request an invite rather than find someone who is already a member. And then you just sign up, and they'll walk you through the sign up. It's very easy. You can then start pinning and posting and adding links, and we'll talk about how you do all that. So here's again what it looks like on the request an invite board, and you'll be prompted to enter your username, email, and password. Your username will be the username and the board name, or the username of your whole Pinterest account. So if you want to make that branded with your company, use a username that relates to your company. The nice thing is that you can change this username. It's not like Facebook that once you set a username, you can never do anything about it. You can change this if you somehow start with your regular name and decide you want to brand it as your company name. You can change that username. So, but again, if you do want to have it branded with your company, pick a username that makes sense. There's no spaces in there, and make it easy for someone to find you by choosing something that's not too long. The next step that they'll have you do once you create your username is they will have you click a few things that you might be interested in. And don't worry about this too much. It kind of just seeds your followers or people you're following with some things that might be interesting to you. So you don't have to click on too much. You have to click on 1 or 2 things. I think it's just one thing really. To get started, and then they'll kind of create some automatic people you're following, and it's kind of good just to follow some things you might be interested in anyway. And then the way you start adding pins is just by doing one of 3 things. You can start out by creating a whole board, and then you name the board, and you can add pins to that board. You can just add a pin that comes in that you would add a URL to, or you can upload a pin, which means you would take a picture. You would have some picture that is from your computer, and you would upload it as a brand new pin that exists pretty much only on Pinterest there. That picture might be somewhere else on the web, but if you're uploading it directly into Pinterest, that picture kind of resides there in Pinterest. When you're adding a pin, you're grabbing it from a URL, and the URL, once you add the URL into the pin area, it'll try and find a picture that you want to select from that website address. So let's get into that a little bit more here. So if you do upload a pin, here's something I did where I uploaded a picture that was kind of a tip I had. And so then I put a description in that tip on what you do there. And what I did then from there is I added a link that went to my website. So I wanted to make sure that if someone was interested in this little picture and this tip, they could get to my website to, connect with me there, find more information there, and I put it on a board called Facebook Tips. So you want to make sure that your pins have addresses in this link area so that it can drive traffic. That's where the traffic comes from, and that's where you want to make sure you've got that link in there. Now if you're clicking the add a pin with the URL, that link will already be populated automatically based on the link you entered there. So you can pin your own stuff and just add links, or you can upload pictures and then add links later. The other thing that can make things easier, and that actually I recommend, especially if you are blogging, is to add a pin it website or a pin it button to your blog posts. And it's really handy. Then it makes it easy for someone to pin your post. They don't have to go in and copy the website into that add a pin button. They can just click this little button. It'll automatically pop up, connect to their Pinterest account, and it's just 1 or 2 clicks before they pin your post to a board on their account. So you want those people to be pinning your posts so that they can you can get traffic from them. Here's how you add the Pin It plugin on WordPress. If you just go to Pinterest Pin It button in your plugin section and you click Add a Plugin, you just search on Pinterest Pin It button, and the one I use has the higher ratings. I think there are 2 in there, and usually if you go Pinterest and then put in the quotes Pin It button, you'll find it fairly easily. And the nice thing is with this is you have some settings, so you can control a little bit more about how the pin looks. You can let the user select an image, or you can pre-select an image, because sometimes what happens if they use that Pin It button, some of the images on your sidebar, if you have any images on your sidebar, also pop up as a possibility for someone to pin. You really want someone to pin the exact image that's in your post, so you can control that and what's being pinned. There's some other settings in there and how it looks, and if you want it on posts or if you want it on pages. You can also if you decide that you don't want anything pinned on your website, and you can block Pinterest from pinning your website. They have some instructions about how to do that in the help section of Pinterest, but I'm assuming that because you're on this call, you're interested in using Pinterest to drive traffic to your website, not block it. But that is something to know. If you are trying to pin something from someone else's site, they may have Pinterest blocked, so you may not be able to. It's a big issue with sites like photographers and people who have images that are proprietary that they don't want to, have sent all over the web. Maybe that's their business, is selling these images or selling their photography, so they don't want it spread all over and diluted. So again, that's where the legal and privacy considerations come in play here. And I would be a little bit concerned about what you pin and where you get these images. Don't just do a search on Google Images and start downloading images and adding them to boards, because that could cause some legal problems. And they are working on their legal issues and the way they've worded things, because the way they've had it in the past was that anyone can sue you and you are completely liable for everything you pin. So you do have to kind of keep that in the back of your mind. And they also have had some things about what they own and who owns what on their site. So I really recommend you go in and look at their privacy and their terms. And they spell them out pretty well. They've been updated recently with kind of some of their new wording that they have around that. But realize that if you are pinning things, just be a little bit concerned about where you're getting them, and think about the ownership of that image before you do it. If someone has a if someone has a pin it button on their website, obviously they want you to pin their blog posts or their things that are on there, so you don't have to worry at all about pinning if someone already has a pin it button on their website. And usually you don't have to be worried about repinning from someone else's site. Hopefully that's tracked back to the other person who originally pinned it. But just realize again that if you are putting up images, people are going to repin them from your site, and you want to make sure you're kind of protecting yourself. And again, if you're a photographer, if you have some proprietary images, it's challenging because there's not a lot of great options for that. There's watermarking that can help, and by directing people back to your site for that image and kind of doing those kind of things. There's tools out there for watermarking if you do want to do something like that. The other thing you can do is, if you've got some sort of tip that's like a screenshot, you can just add in your website right on the image, not kind of in its own watermarked way, where it hopefully is kind of letting people know where that originally came from, or driving that people back to your site in that way. Let's talk about some advanced Pinterest techniques and how you can go a little bit more in depth in Pinterest. I don't know how many people are already using Pinterest, but let's talk about some other things you can do to kind of up your Pinterest game. One thing is to follow others, and we're going to go a little bit in depth in each of these. Follow others and connect your social sites so you can build a following quickly. Adding covers to your boards kind of helps you control how your boards look, and gives you some customization to your Pinterest boards. And then searching and commenting, I think, is really key, because sometimes you may not know who might be talking about you. Even though they're not pinning something directly from your site, they could be talking about your brand. So you want to be able to do that and keep tabs on what's being said about you there. And having different boards is key, because you don't want to make it all about you and all about your website and all the things you have for sale there. You want to have some other interests so that it makes it fun for people to follow you. I have some humor boards that I just like to kind of keep there, so we can share fun little pictures. So the nice thing about Pinterest is that it can be linked with Facebook and Twitter very easily. So if you are already using Facebook or Twitter or Twitter, you can connect your accounts, and it'll start kind of automatically following your friends or Twitter followers or people you follow on Twitter who have Pinterest accounts. It'll kind of search through that, and that is very automatic, so it's kind of an automatic way to build your connections on Pinterest. And here's how you connect those. You go into your About section and into your settings, and you just click on the link to Facebook and then link to Twitter. And I've added Pinterest to my Facebook timeline on my personal page, so that when I do pin something, it also goes to Facebook and shows people that I've pinned something. You may or may not want to do that if you don't like having too much Facebook content and you're hanging out on Pinterest a lot. You may not want to have those kind of things automatically populate there. But I like adding content wherever I go. Adding a cover to your board. This is really easy to do. All you have to do is hover over your board when you're looking at it, and then just click on that Edit Board Cover tab, and you can choose which one of the pictures you have on that board that you want to have as the board cover. And sometimes that just can be a little bit more engaging to bring people in and have one of your pictures kind of featured. Searching and commenting is really important, because here's an example from Camp Bow Wow. this person posted a picture of her dogs saying, so glad to be going home after 1 week of at Camp Bow Wow. And so she's not linking to Camp Bow Wow. She just is uploading a picture of her dogs. But what happens is it then, you can then comment as Camp Bow Wow and say, oh, thanks so much. We're so happy to have your dogs here, and come see us again. So it really then can solidify that communication with you and your client, and let your client know that you are out there watching, and thankful that her dogs are doing all right, and can keep you in their mind. And this other post did link back to Camp Bow Wow, but said awesome place for your favorite pooch. And so this would have come up if you had done that source check on Pinterest, where you check the source URL with that, because it did link back to Camp Bow Wow itself. But it's nice to know that it also shows up in the searches, and you can comment on there and say, thanks so much, we appreciate it. And then what happens is anyone who sees this post or repins this post will then see your comment underneath that post, and possibly then connect to you. So again, it's spreading your business into places that you may not have gotten to already, and connecting people to you. You want to have other boards, and it's not just for sales, because all of these things with social media are social sites, and you want to have fun there. You want to have some different interests and show people a little bit about your personality. So I have a travel board because I love travel. I have a humor board, and there's lots of great boards you can come up with. There's really great quote boards. There's lots of cool things that you can have in addition to the boards that are helping drive traffic to your site. You want to have something else so people don't know you're just trying to, so people know a different side of you and don't just feel like you're trying to sell on a social site. So let's talk about the best practices. We covered a lot of these, and then I think we'll have a good amount of time for questions. You want to, again, watch pins that are coming from your site with that source address. You want to repin other posts and do some searches, like other posts. Make sure you're adding pins regularly. So, have a schedule. Maybe you're going to, whenever you do a blog post, maybe then just make sure you're adding that pin to that blog post, or maybe you might add it in a couple places. So, it's kind of a natural way that you might add pins regularly. But you also want to go in and repin and do some of that maintenance type thing regularly as well. And make sure that your links are there if you've uploaded just a straight photo to it. And then making sure your blog posts are pinnable by adding those photos and seeing what it looks like. You may also want to just try and see what comes up when you pin something off from your site. How does it look? What does it pull up from your site that would be pinnable? So there may be a little bit of maintenance in there, going back into some of your your posts or into some of your pages and adding some photos so that they are more pinnable. So great, thank you so much. We're going to have a number of minutes here for questions, and I'd love to open it up. You can sign up for my free report if you're interested. I have lots of tutorials. We're going to have this recording available at AndreaVall.com, and I will send out the recorded link. I do one-on-one consulting, and the next webinar that we have is going to be on QR codes and how you do mobile marketing for your business. What are some of the important things that you need to know to go mobile? Mobile is going to be revolutionizing how we interact with the web, and how do you get your site mobile ready for that? Because I think the prediction was in 2015, mobile use was going to surpass desktop use. So you want to make sure that your site is mobile ready and that you are doing the right things for mobile marketing. So sign up for that. That's going to be on October 3rd. And I'd love to get any questions from you if you wanted to type your questions in the chat area, and I will take them. And if you do want to ask a question live, we can also try raising hands if you want to attempt that. Sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. So we can try that. Question from I think Randy. I can't see the name very well. But are boards searchable on Google? Yes, they are searchable. The links that they have on Pinterest are no-follow links, and what that means is that it's not increasing your SEO for the number of, when you have these pins pointing back to your site. Google kind of passes over that in that qualification and doesn't kind of add that to your rankings in search engine because you've got more links pointing back to your site. But they are searchable, and they are, all of the board text is searchable. So, having keywords on your pins and your boards is a good thing to help you come up. And I haven't been trying to experiment yet lately to see if I can find a Pinterest post that comes up on the first page. I haven't seen any Pinterest posts that come up on the first page of Google yet, but it possibly could be if you type in the right long tail keyword. So I think that would be definitely worth kind of searching there to see if that might help. But yeah, obviously if you have some good keywords, make sure those are in your descriptions and in your boards so that that all can help come up both in Google and on Pinterest. So great question from Barb, and says, I am a children's author that's already on Pinterest, but it's my ideas were helpful. Great, wonderful. Thank you, Barb. I appreciate that. I'm glad that it was helpful. Let me just check. Feel free to keep putting your questions in. And Barb, I think you were the one who had the hand raised, so I'm going to take your hand raised down, so because you got your question in that way. Okay, so let's this is a great question, and I don't know why. Let me just find out. Whoops. Let me get back to the questions area. I don't know why I can't see the name of the asker, but I apologize for not saying hello to your name. I just tried to link my Pinterest account to Facebook, but it seems to only let me do it through my personal page, not my business page. Can you not link to a Facebook business page? That is a great question, and it's a little bit different in linking Pinterest to a personal page, to a business page. What you have is you have an app that will link your Pinterest account to your Facebook page. So it doesn't, you are correct in that it doesn't, it won't automatically post from Pinterest to a Facebook page. It will link it to your personal page, and that was where the post would come up. But you can use a Facebook app called woobox.com to show Pinterest on your Facebook page and kind of link it in that way. And I'm going to show you how that looks here. And let me just make sure that you can see my screen. And I'm going to go to Grandma Mary's page here. And the way that looks is you have a Pinterest tab here, and you click on it, and now you can use this to feature all your boards or a single board. If you want to feature a single board, let me just make sure that you can see my, yes, you can see my page here. Oops. Yeah. Okay, so you can So again, this is Grandma Mary's boards here, and she's got inspiring tidbits, some LinkedIn tips, people I love, including Carol Burnett and Vicki Lawrence. So those are some of my inspiration there. I've got a board of comfortable shoes, some funny boards, and some Facebook tips. So actually, most of my boards are kind of more funny. That's Grandma Mary's an edutainer, so she likes funny and some business tips. But that's how you install it. And if you just go to woobox.com, you'll see right there that they've got that Pinterest app, and you can click on it and easily install it right onto your Facebook page. And then from here, you can kind of let people know about the Pinterest things that you've got there. It is a free app. It doesn't cost any money, and it's pretty easy to use. So great question there. And I'm going to try and take a live question. Looks like, Barb, you might have a live question. I'm going to unmute you, Barb, and let's see if you can ask a question here. Barb, are you there? Did you want to ask a question? Nope, I'm sorry. You had your hand raised, so I thought we were going to ask a question there. But if anyone does want to ask a live question, you can. If not, just type it in the chat area. So let's go ahead and take a few more questions here. Let's see. Okay. If you pin here's another question. If you pin an image by grabbing it from another site, that URL is the link and cannot be edited. Is that right? That is correct. So if you're going to link back to your site, you need to have an image from your site and pin it from there or upload it. And that is all correct. And that was from Catherine. Yes, Catherine Savage. So yeah, that is correct. You're not going to, if you're grabbing a URL from someone's site, that's where the URL is going to point, and it doesn't make sense. It's not going to allow you to kind of redirect that URL to your site. So if you want to drive traffic to your site, you either have to upload pictures and edit that URL to send them to your site. And again, it makes sense to, you want to have the URL and the image kind of coordinate so it makes sense for someone as to why they're going to your site. Don't have pictures of sunsets if your business is not about sunsets, and but you want to have, or the other thing you can do is, again, go to a place on your site, grab the URL, and then it'll automatically kind of populate with some of the images that are available to pin from there. So hope that makes sense, and hope that wasn't too roundabout of an explanation like that. But if you're looking to drive traffic to your site, you either have to pin the URLs from your site or upload the images and then put the URLs in there. All right. So let's take okay. Yes, so here's a question from Naomi. I have an account for the store I work at and somehow got the login through the Twitter account. Can I change that to a regular login? I've tried to no avail. And yes, for some reason, I think Pinterest is a little frustrating in that way, is that they make you log in through Facebook or through Twitter, and you either have to you'll either have to create a new account, and that may be too much work. It depends on how much work you already have there. You'll either need to create a new account where you request an invite, and then from there you can create your login the way you want. Because I think you are correct that you cannot change that setting once you've created the account. You have to log in either through Facebook or through Twitter. So I'll double check on that and put that information in the replay. But yes, I think you are correct. You cannot change that once you've created it. Okay. Question from Wendy, do I provide personal coaching in the Vernon area? Yeah, I'm actually from the Chicago region originally, so that's where I got connected to Catherine. And So I do occasionally come back to that area, but most of my consulting I do online over the phone, and I have a web sharing camera so we can kind of look at each other's websites and whatever needs to be done and kind of control the mouse that way. So that's typically how I work, and thanks for asking, Wendy. But I do consult with people all over the world. So any other questions coming in about Pinterest or using Pinterest or connecting it with your sites? You can automatically tweet things out, tweet pins out, and when you connect them, connect your social sites. Sometimes you can just automatically have those posted and tweeted, but again, it's connected with your personal page on Facebook. So if that's not where you want it to go, you'll have to kind of manually post the Pinterest link that you pinned, or it'll automatically show up on this tab, but those are kind of the options for you. So any other questions? If not, we can wrap up, and I will put some great tidbits in the replay. I have a really great post on Pinterest that goes into a little more in depth in some of these areas. It talks about the stats and kind of other things that you can do to use Pinterest well. One more question coming in. Oh, good. Good job. Okay, great. Thank you. Lots of thank yous. Thank you, everyone, and look forward to hopefully seeing you in October. Please feel free to let me know if you have any additional questions that come in afterwards. Thanks, everyone, and thanks to Vernon Library. Bye-bye.